heart of the wild. Where the sun bleeds gold over the endless horizon, there stands a lion. His mane catches the morning wind. His eyes reflect the fire of the dawn. Yet beneath that majestic frame, behind the roar that shakes the plains, there was once something else: fear. Not the kind of fear that flees, but the kind that lingers quietly in the soul, whispering doubts, planting shadows. Before he became the king, before the savannah knew his name, he too had to face the silent storm within. He was born beneath the same sun as the others. He was small, fragile, uncertain. The world was loud, the cries of the wild, the thunder of hooves, the growl of predators that did not care for lineage or destiny. He learned early that even kings must crawl before they rise. He watched his mother fight for survival, felt the tremors of the earth beneath his paws, and realized that life is not promised, it is earned. Every roar he would one day give began as a whimper, trembling in the darkness of doubt. Every step of power was once a hesitant move into the unknown. But something stirred inside him, a voice that refused to be silenced. It whispered, "You were not born to hide." The lion faced fear not once, but every day. Fear of hunger, fear of failure, fear of losing what little he had. But he also learned something that changed everything. Fear was not his enemy. Fear was his teacher. It was the invisible fire that pushed him to grow stronger, to sharpen his claws, to stand taller when the world tried to break him. He learned that fear does not disappear when you face it. It stands before you, daring you to rise anyway. And that is what separates the weak from the powerful. Not the absence of fear, but the decision to move forward in spite of it. There was a time when he stood at the edge of the river, watching his reflection ripple and distort. The cub staring back at him looked small, unsure, unworthy of the title king. The whispers of the wild said he would never lead, never command, never roar loud enough to be heard. But deep within, something growled back, not out of arrogance, but out of defiance. He decided that day he would not live in the shadow of fear. Each sunrise became a test. The lion learned to hunt, to fight, to fall, and to rise again. Every scar on his body became a story, not of defeat, but of survival. He discovered that courage is not a sudden burst of strength. It's a quiet persistence that refuses to bow. It's waking up when everything hurts. It's standing tall when the ground shakes beneath you. It's believing in your power even when no one else does. When he failed, he did not hide. When he was wounded, he did not retreat. He roared, not because he wasn't afraid, but because he was. His roar was a declaration to the universe: I am here, and I will not break. Fear tried to chain him to comfort. It whispered that safety was better than struggle, that the known was better than the unknown. But the lion knew, comfort is the slowest form of death. To stay safe is to stay small. And he refused to stay small, so he walked into storms. He challenged rivals stronger than himself. He stood his ground when the world told him to run. And in doing so, he discovered what fear had been hiding all along: his strength. You see, the lion didn't become fearless by avoiding fear. He became fearless by embracing it. He understood that courage is not the roar that silences fear. It's the whisper that says, move anyway. The savannah soon learned his name, not because he was born a king, but because he chose to rise as one. His journey was not about power, it was about purpose. He realized that the world does not crown you. You crown yourself through your actions, through your persistence, through your refusal to be defeated. Every night when the stars draped the sky, he would look up and remember the cub he once was, trembling, unsure, lost, and he would smile. Because that cub was not gone. That cub was the reason he was strong. The fear that once held him back had become the foundation on which he stood. And just like the lion, every human carries fear. Fear of failure, fear of rejection, fear of not being enough. We are all born into uncertainty. We all hear the same whispers of doubt. But within each of us lies that same fire, that same quiet roar, waiting to be unleashed. You may not walk on four paws. You may not have a mane that catches the wind. But you have a heart that can burn just as fiercely. You have a spirit that was not built to hide, not made to surrender. You have a roar of your own, your voice, your purpose, your truth. Fear tells you to stay where it's safe. Fear tells you to wait for permission. Fear tells you to be quiet, to be small, to be ordinary. But deep down, you know, you were not born to be ordinary. You were born to rise. Every obstacle you face, every setback, every wound, they are not there to destroy you. They are there to shape you. They are the trials that forge strength, the storms that carve wisdom, the battles that awaken the warrior within. The lion learned that his greatest victories came after his hardest fights. When he stood on the hill and roared, it was not pride that filled his chest, it was gratitude. Gratitude for the fear that made him fight harder. Gratitude for the pain that taught him endurance. Gratitude for the moments he thought he couldn't go on, but did anyway. You too will face your storms. You will be knocked down, questioned, doubted, forgotten. People will tell you that you can't. Your mind will tell you to stop. But if you listen closely beneath the noise, you will hear it, the same whisper the lion once heard. You were not born to hide. Rise, take a step, even when you're trembling, even when your voice shakes, even when fear stands before you like a mountain. Because the moment you move, even one small step, fear begins to lose its power. Courage is not loud. It's not always dramatic. Sometimes it's a single breath before you try again. Sometimes it's the quiet decision to get up one more time. Sometimes it's standing in your truth when the world tells you to stay silent. The lion became the king not because of his strength, but because of his heart. He led with presence, with purpose, with power born from pain. He knew that true fearlessness is not the absence of fear. It is mastery of it. It is knowing fear intimately and still choosing to walk forward. And humans are no different. We all walk through jungles of our own, jungles of doubt, expectation, judgment, and failure. But within those jungles lies your throne. You may not see it yet, but it's there, waiting for you to claim it. The question is, will you? Will you keep hiding behind what could go wrong? Or will you roar for what could go right? Will you let fear dictate your story, or will you write it with courage as your pen? Remember this, the lion was not born fearless. He became fearless by walking through his fear, not around it. And so must you. So when you wake up tomorrow, don't wait for courage to arrive. Don't wait for the perfect moment, the perfect plan, the perfect feeling. Move, act, begin. Courage is not what comes before action. It is what is born from it. Each time you step forward, your fear shrinks. Each time you face what scares you, you reclaim a piece of your power. Each time you refuse to back down, you remind the world and yourself that you are more than what you fear. Fear will knock on your door every day. It will never disappear completely. But that's okay, because every time it does, you have a choice to let it in or to stand tall and roar back. The lion's roar echoes across the plains not because it's loud, but because it carries the truth of survival. It carries the sound of someone who has faced death, pain, and failure and still stands. That roar is not noise. It is a statement. I am still here. So be the lion. Roar your truth. Walk with fear, but do not bow to it. When the night feels too dark, remember, darkness is not the end. It is the backdrop against which your light will shine the brightest. When the world turns its back on you, stand like the lion beneath the stars. And remember, you do not need the world's permission to rise. You only need your decision. You are stronger than you think. You are braver than you feel. And you are far more capable than fear wants you to believe. The lion's journey is not different from yours. Both are stories of becoming, of moving from doubt to dominance, from fear to freedom. So rise, roar, and remember, you were not born to hide.